request. John is either in Indiana or on his way back from Indiana. He was up there this weekend at a project. I haven't heard from him. I'm hoping everything went well. And we'll pray for safe travels for him on his way home. Friday, my dad has a heart cath to find out if he can proceed with some neck surgery. He's having some continued issues, so I'd appreciate your prayers for him. His name's Roger. What else do we have? David. I'm sorry, what's that? Oh, wow, see you tomorrow. Okay. Yeah? How is he doing? Good. Gotcha. Okay. Good. I'm glad. That's awesome. Thanks for the update. So Birdie's doing better. What else we have? That's a good point. What, they start this week?
Next week.
Next week. Well, every county's different, so yeah. I was gonna say, a lot of families are thinking about back to school time. So. Good. All right. Well, let's open in prayer. Father, thanks for the day you've given us. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, to work, to celebrate the gift of life and the joy that you bring us. I pray that we would honor you with all the words of our mouths and the work of our hands. Thank you that Birdie is feeling better and that he's gotten some good news. I pray that you continue to heal him. I pray for John and probably Daniel as they're hopefully on their way back today from Indiana, that you give them safe travels, as you would all of our people who are out on the roads today, going to customers and doing our everyday jobs, that you would just grant us the safety of coming home to our families. Father, I pray for Davy's mom as she has her teeth removed tomorrow, that everything would go well, that her pain would be minimized, and that you would allow her to proceed with the future. I pray for my father as we continue to explore what's going on with his health, the heart cath that he has Friday, and the pending surgery on his neck. I pray that you give him and my mom peace, that we would all be able to navigate this together with grace. Father, I pray that you would bless the opportunity this morning to just speak about the people of Ethiopia and the things that our team saw. Grant us wisdom and just the words to say that would show the truth of your gospel and the need of those people there. We pray these things in Christ's name. Amen. So I get to introduce most of the team that came to Ethiopia back in the end of June, beginning of July. And y'all aren't going to hear from me a whole lot, just a little bit. So I'm going to move this out of the way, and I think Becky's going to start. You want this?
I don't care.
Okay.
How's your number, please?
Sorry. Well, if you want me to introduce you, I'm going to bring you up here. So Becky Highsmith has been involved with Addis Jemari for quite a while. Lydia Johnson is one of her great friends and has been involved for a while as well. Is Micaiah still over there?
Yes.
Her son is still over there, has done an internship with Addis Jemari. Melinda and I obviously got to be part of this. Rachel Crabtree is also a nurse who actually is the one who invited Melinda into this process, and I'm very grateful for that. And then Dave and Cindy Driscoll, and then we have a few others who can't be here this morning. Diane is up in Ohio celebrating the birth of her new grandson. And one of our teammates, Melissa went knowing that this was going to probably have a sincere impact on her health. And she has some autoimmune issues, so she's still at home recovering from a lot of that. But you guys come on up and we'll get started. Come on, back and zoom out, or we can back up.
Thank you so much for inviting us. Raymond was an amazing part of this team, and it was so fun getting to know him and Melinda on this trip. I know they kind of have a story that they really weren't my first choice, and that's terrible to say.
Sorry.
But I had actually invited a pediatrician to go, and he declined. And I was like, okay, God, like, what are you doing? And I think the next week, Rachel's like, I think I've got somebody. Let's go have a chat with her. So met Melinda for coffee and just shared a little bit about my heart and my journey with Addis Jemari. And she said yes, and she was like, can my husband go too? And I was like, of course he can go. So it's always yes, if you want to go, like, let's go. So they came along, and I was just so thankful to God, like, holy cow, like, what an amazing couple to be able to work alongside. But anyway, thank you for having us. Thank you, Raymond, for connecting us. Addis Jemari is an organization. They will be 10 years old next year. They were started by two women in Raleigh, North Carolina, that saw they were going on mission trips to Ethiopia and saw the orphan crisis and wanted to do something. So they started with a home for girls that have aged out of the government orphanage. So over there, when you get a certain age, or when the government orphanage gets too big, they give you a little bit of money and send you on your way. And it's really a sad thing, but they said, we need to do something. So they started it was a girls' home. So the AJ home was started in 2016. And then 3 years later, Lydia and I went in 2019 and helped launch the Family Empowerment Program. So there's two legs of Addis Jemari. Addis Jemari means new beginnings in Amharic, which is the language they speak over there. So they have the AJ home, which is the girls' home, and then the AJ FEP program, which is the Family Empowerment Program. So basically, they're helping once orphaned girls in the AJ home, and the FEP program is working to keep families together, because children belong with their parents. They belong with their mothers. A lot of times in Ethiopia, children are not given to an orphanage because they aren't wanted. They're given to an orphanage because they simply cannot provide for their children. So when I went my first time in 2017 to Ethiopia, I was a mother. I'm a mother of four. And just it was more of a trip. I didn't go with Addis Jemari that first time, but it was heartbreaking, and I didn't have a category to put what I had seen, because it was more of like an orphanage tourism trip. I'm very thankful for the trip, but I came back with just lots of questions, like, just it was really hard. I didn't have, as an American mother of four children, I didn't have a category to put what I had seen over there. So came back and did a deep dive and found Addis Jemari, and jumped in and pulled in Lydia and pulled in Rachel. And it's just been like building since. And this time I got to bring these wonderful people, and most of them were from North Hills, which is the church that Raymond and I and a lot of these people attend. But so the first day was the graduation. So the Family Empowerment Program is a 3-year program. Families come in. There's 50 families that are on the brink of breaking up because of extreme poverty. So they've reached out to government and said, we need help. we were desperate. So Addis Jemari they choose 50 families, and it's a 3-year program. So they give them 3 years. They give them education, healthcare, whatever they need, counseling. Every family is different. Some are more vulnerable, so they give them, it looks different for every family. But the first day we were there was a Monday. The first day it was probably the second day, but we were able to see the 50 families, the previous families, graduate. And it was beautiful. Like, we got to see just the joy and these 50 mothers that had put in all this work over 3 years, and Addis Jemari, just pouring into them and them raising out of poverty and learning skills, starting businesses. Like I said, every family's different. And then that afternoon, so we got to see the beautiful graduation. And then that afternoon, we went to the new center, which was just like a 5-minute drive. And we got to see start the medical assessments for the new families, the intake. So we had brand new families walking in the door. And I think that night, as we were sitting as a team and processing, we were just like, the stark difference of those families that had all that, the hope, the 3 years in the program, compared to these families that were walking in, like not even knowing what Addis Jemari is, just coming in. And there was just a huge difference. So you can see, if you go back the top picture is the family graduation. So all the families, you can see the joy on the mother's face on the left bottom corner, and the joy, that's one of the little boys whose mother graduated. And then on the right are 2 families that were just coming in. So you can just tell in there, like, even their eyes are glazed over. But the cool thing is, coming on this team and knowing this organization, there's hope for those new families. And I know over the next 3 years, it's going to be a transformation. And we left, and the work is continuing. And that's why I got involved with Addis Jemari, because they're doing work. They're bringing hope to the hopeless. And so that's my part. Let's go to the next slide. And I think Cindy's going to talk about the hope bags.
Okay, so first year going, we've been doing missions for as long as we've been married, pretty much, but first time to Ethiopia. And so Becky and Rachel and Lydia had us put these bags together, and we called them our hope bags. And we just put things like bubbles and, little Bible books and different things. But the thing that for me, and we, being our first time, we had these wordless gospel bracelets that goes through the colors and to share the gospel. And we're just like, well, I don't speak the language. So Mark, how are we going to do this? But God always goes before us. Because there was one girl, and these girls at this AJ home are beautiful, and they're so, they just ooze love, and you can't help but just love them. And anyway, there was this one girl she has a story, but anyway, they brought her back in to work this summer. And she was our translator. Like, she just jumped right in, and it was such a blessing for me to see how God, concern that we had. Because I was like drawing little hearts on the kids, chest and stuff. And she just jumped right in and just started sharing the gospel through these bracelets, and over and over and over again. And so, that's the hope that we all have, is in the gospel, and it got shared every day. And you can see from the slides, the children are just beautiful, and the moms were so appreciative of, just the opportunity that we had to love on their kids.
The bottom right is the girl. She was not
Yes,
the
yeah. So, but just go be love. I mean, we can be love here, but go be love, especially in Ethiopia.
One of the other major parts of Addis Jemari is how do you care for these families? A lot of you guys donated to this cause. Let's back that one up one. So we brought over vitamins, protein powder, toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant, computers, a ton of stuff that Addis Jemari as an organization is committed to supplying for these families and budgeting into their operating budget. So anytime we are able to take donations in and take it to them, it reduces their capital expenditure on their budget stuff and allows them to expand their programs and to care for these families even more than we expected. Not more than God expects. He knows exactly what they need and how he's going to supply them. But that was one of the things we all brought. We lived for 10 days out of a carry-on and a backpack and our check bags. 2 check bags each were all supplies. If that gives you any indication of exactly what we carried over, we carried, and we're supposed to be limited to what, 50 pounds each. We had 4 that were over 50 pounds. That was an adventure within itself. Nothing like repacking in the Atlanta airport, right there at check-in. But the supplies are hugely necessary, and several of you folks came and said, "Hey, we want to donate to this." So I want to say thanks to Engineered Systems folks for that. You have no idea the impact it really has. We don't even have an idea the impact it really has in the long run, even in the short term in these people's lives. So, and the next part of that is Melinda's.
So as we were saying, we did the graduation at the old center in the morning, had lunch. We got packed up very quickly, went a little ways down the road to the new center where we started medical assessments. When we got there, there were already families waiting for us. There was nothing set up. This is a brand new center. It was a mess.
And by brand new, she means old because we had to rehab it.
Yes, so it was a mess. But Rachel and I just walked in and just had to creatively find places that worked. Some days we didn't have power at certain times, but had to find a place where we could work and assess these families. And it was really beautiful that none of these people have had medical care ever. So we were just doing a basic, let's see if there's going to be anything that they're going to need that's going to impede their ability to work, to learn to read. So we did vision exams. We did just basic measurements of vital signs, blood pressure, height, our scale. We got there, the battery didn't work. You couldn't find one anywhere. So we had to improvise with that. But we got to just meet these sweet families and put hands on and pray over as we assess them. I want to tell you specifically about the baby you see at the top there. This mom, it's a twin, one of twins. She was 3 months old. This mom, I was doing her vision assessment and she was sitting on a stool and she kept almost falling off. She was so weak. And so I asked the translator and she hadn't eaten for well over a day. She was trying to nurse these babies, did not have enough milk, was supplementing with cow's milk, which they cannot digest. So these babies were emaciated. And she was so weak that I got Raymond to help me get her in the building for the rest of the assessment. It was just beautiful to see Addis Jemari come alongside because within 12 hours, they had supplied her with protein powder so she could have some nourishment and formula for those babies so that they could grow. And we were able to feed her lunch and her family, and it was a beautiful thing. We all got to love on those babies and pray over them for what God was going to have in store for them. It was an added bonus. We got there, and Dave here had a previous meeting in Ethiopia with this young man that you see between Rachel and I in the picture. His name is Alizar. He had just graduated from medical school. So we did not know we were going to have an Ethiopian doctor who spoke the language on our team, and it was beautiful. As things came up that I didn't know for sure what the translator was trying to tell me, we could pull Alizar in, and it was beautiful to see God work in all the situations there. We didn't do anything major. We didn't provide any medical care. We just did the basic screenings to get them started. But they're so appreciative, and it was great to be involved. I've not done medical missions before. It's been a prayer for my entire life, and it was great to see God work there.
My turn.
I think so.
think so.
Yeah. Fixing up the new center. There's something amazing about Addis Jemari is, so they get this group of people that they're bringing in to start a new program. And it's not like America, you probably gathered so far. Like these moms can't hop in the car and head over to wherever the Addis Jemari Center is. So they literally moved the center into the middle of the neighborhood where these ladies are. Like they've really figured out the logistics of making this thing truly work for these families. So that means we had to go in here, deal with your favorite topic, lead-based paint. All of the paint in Ethiopia is lead-based paint.
And a realtor would make sure that everybody knew that.
She took care of us. So we moved in, we started painting with the lead-based paint, about 12 coats of it just to cover the wall. That's another story in itself. Anyhow, I wanted to go back to the Alizar story for a second. I've been to Ethiopia twice. The first time was 8 years ago. And so I'm a software guy. I do automation technology. We'll talk about that at some point. Anyway, I went 8 years ago and I was teaching these kids at a school south of Addis Ababa, just some basic technology and electronics kind of stuff. And this kid, 17-year-old kid, Alizar, was there. And he was about 5 steps ahead of anything that I was trying to teach. I was like, how in the world did you learn all of this stuff? And he's like, YouTube, you know, I stay on YouTube and I've learned all of this. I knew you were coming. I knew what you were going to do. So I'm ready to teach it. And he really was. So I thought, you know, I've got an opportunity here to get this guy into like a technology business and he could do really well. But his mom wanted him to be a doctor. And he's a good son. So he said, I have no interest in the medical field at all, but I've got to go to be a doctor. So for 8 years, this kid went through medical school. That COVID hit and all that while he was in the middle of it, so that it took him longer to get through. So we were getting there, end of June, right? He graduated from medical school 2 weeks before we got there. The whole time I was thinking, God, why are you wasting this kid's life when he wants to go into technology? And God had it all figured out 8 years ahead of time that he was going to be the guy who was the doctor in the middle of this program. He also decided, so God gave me everything I wanted. Alizar decided at the end of all of that, I'm certain now, David, I do not want to be a doctor. He got permission from his mom and we launched a technology business that he owns while we were there. And he's doing great. He's actually contracting for my company right now and knocking it out of the park. So God covered every possible base with this guy. And we got the new center painted too. Ready to go.
But he is going to go back and help Addis Jemari.
He's already been back. He loves that whole ministry.
With
Yeah.
the ministry too, just like we did.
Yeah.
And all these new American friends.
That's just another reason why Melinda and Raymond were God's #1 choice, even though maybe not Becky's at first. Because God knew that we had somebody coming on the ground to help us that was, and he knew we needed a nurse there. So it worked out
Amen.
way better than our original plan.
His ways are higher. Yeah. Always.
I think the next part of this was a part that the South Carolina group started from the very beginning with the FEP Center. And it's just a reminder of why we do what we do and the hope behind the things that we do. And this is such a beautiful nonprofit organization in Ethiopia that just loves people. And I think that's what originally attracted Becky into it, was that that was what you were going to do, is to go love people on the other side of the world. But we do that because of the hope that's in us, and ultimately want to share that with other people. So we had made a commitment that every family, every 3 years, when they bring in a group of 50 families, we would make sure that those 50 families all had an opportunity to have a Bible, which sounds like such a simple thing again over here, but it's not over there at all. So the very first time that we did this, we actually had to import them from the United States, which even brought a lot of questions to customs trying to get through. And why are you doing this? And what are you doing? And we were able to get Bibles that were English and Amharic, so that they also were an educational tool for them. And we didn't really understand, even that very first trip, kind of how all of this process worked. Ethiopia is a deeply religious country, and there's a lot of Muslims that are in the program. And, that very first year we were told, you can do this, but the Muslims are not going to take those Bibles. And every mother took a Bible. The Muslim mothers took a Bible. Everybody took a Bible. So the second thing that kind of brings into that is Becky talking about, this little spark, and then it brings this group of people and it brings that group of people. And my husband was able to lead a team of 8 guys over there during the second group of 50 families, and really kind of focus in on the boys of there are teenage boys in these programs too, and being able to work with those boys. And then that has brought us to the point now where my 22-year-old is out there, by himself. He actually was the only American on the ground for the last 4 days because the head of the program was out of the country. But really, he was able to spend time with the mothers and working in the center, but he was also able to meet with the boys from the program before, and be able to take them out and keep talking and working on relationships with them. So this is something that we were able to leave there for this group of 50 families. They'll give it to them when the time is right. I don't know if it'll be when we're back again or when they're graduating or somewhere in the middle of the program, but we know that with all the love and the care and the help that they're getting, they're also going to be each getting their own Bible for their family. And we know that that never comes back void. It's that. And then I think you said you had another.
Yeah.
No, go back one.
Yeah.
I'll let you do it. Matt.
Yay.
And Tuesday nights at the AJ home, which kind of flipping back to the girls' home, they do a Bible study every Tuesday night. They have the most beautiful lady named Sige that has been there from the very beginning. And she comes in and does a Bible study with these girls. And that was really neat for us, I think, because they spoke a lot. We asked them questions and we just let them talk. We can't understand one thing that they're saying, but we could feel the emotion in what they were saying. And it's so neat to see and hear those girls. Becky had done kind of dived into the computer one night back at the guest house when we had Wi-Fi, and you just don't, you start building relationships with these people, but you don't really know how hard their story is. And one of those orphans was, a girl that she's probably in her early 20s right now, but you go back to being a young kid, 7, 8, when Ethiopia had adoptions available, and her brother had been selected to be adopted. And so there's a chain on social media of some American mother talking about them and having pictures of them and so excited to get them. And we don't know the whole story or what happened, but somehow she didn't get over. Something cut off and they weren't allowed to take her over. So her brother, and she can see this on social media, has lived a whole life in America with American family, and she was just left in the type of orphanage that she explained to you without explaining to you gives you nightmares. It's not like what we're used to here. So that's the kind of stuff that these girls are coming out of. The ability that we have with AI over the last couple of years has kind of just blown my mind, because translating materials for them, it has been a very difficult thing. And all of a sudden it can be done in like 0.7 seconds. It's unbelievable. I mean, it's something that would take 6 months to put together, back and forth, can be done so quickly, and they can double check it with the native, and it's almost exactly right. So we were able to create a little Bible study for them. The girl, I don't know who found it, Becky, one of the ladies found this blanket that talked about just we are loved, things that we are because God loves us, like who we are in Christ. And then we were able to give them a Bible study that tied that into different women of the Bible, and just allowed them, hopefully over their time, as they study on their own, to be able to not just understand you're loved, you are beautiful, but then take those things and relate them to a woman in the Bible that has overcome something and knows who she is in Christ. So that was just a really fun night. It was a special night for us to be able to spend time with them and give them those things and build relationships with them while we were doing it. Rachel, you want to take this one?
Sure. Or who was supposed to do this?
I don't know, Rachel.
Well, this is just a pretty simple slide. We were able to do some projects at the AJ home where the teen girls live. So we had some talented woodworkers in our team, and we're able to work on creating planter baskets, and we just transformed their patio area to an outdoor space that they can use for their Bible study. And we were able to purchase, with some overage money, we had some outdoor furniture and make it very homey looking. So
The picture on the left is the example of the boxes. Ethiopia does not look like that.
That's
not their patio.
that was our goal. And
That was our goal.
Last one, building relationships. Okay, I'll speak into this one too. So you've already heard like stories down the line about building relationships there. And I feel like this is where the gospel just gets personal. And when where we're able to speak it into people individually. And that happened a lot with Raymond and some of the staff on the ground. There's a picture. Raymond on the bottom left is with Fasil, and he's a staff member, Ethiopian staff member that pours his whole life into Addis Jemari, this ministry. And Raymond was able to like spend hours and hours just with him, encouraging him, speaking just encouragement and empowerment into him. So we feel like these are the ways that we go and we can speak God's truth and share with the people individually how they're seen, they're known, they're loved, they're prayed for, because we're in and out, but when we can speak God's truth, we know it's not empty and it's not going to return void. His word from Isaiah 55, he's going to produce a harvest from his words. So that's just where I love this. This is a lot of these relationships have been ongoing. Becky's been 5 times with, and each time seeing the same teen girls and staff members. And Dave with Alizar is up there. So it's just so sweet when they see you return. There's a connection there, and I think God uses that in a big way. Just that you're willing to leave your life and come, and even if for us it's a small sacrifice. It's 10 days of our life, but it's a big deal for them to show you, to see that they're cared for and they're loved. So I feel like these relationships are just where the gospel kind of can be spoken freely and be real. So
And one thing we're not doing there is I'll put it this way, we're working in those relationships so that they can have an encounter with the Lord, not with the American dream, not with capitalism, not with all of those things that would be so easy for us to get excited about because we see how that works in business, right? But it's about them and the Lord. And we want them to be the best Ethiopian Christians that they can possibly be. So we're not going in and trying to say, hey, do it like we do it. We're trying to say, this is Jesus and he loves you. And that's where it ends. Does that make sense?
And we could stand up here and talk to you guys about this, but we can't begin to explain what this really means because none of you guys have been there. Going makes all the difference. And we hear a lot at Engineered Systems about the opportunities for missions and the opportunities to go. Go.
We appreciate your support
Oh, yeah.
very much.
Honestly, this was all about building those relationships more than anything else, it's all about the long-term relationships that AJ has with these families, with these young ladies, and that the body of Christ is being built around the world in ways that we don't even understand. But we get to experience that for just a few days. And it's really because of the support of folks like y'all who are willing to say, this is important. So I appreciate it. And Amhara gets,
I'm a
I'm
Seganalo.
a second.
which means thank you. So we really do appreciate your support. Thanks for the time this morning. Yep.
Um, if they are not in a house, most of them do have a place to live. So, you know,
Not like you think of a place to live though, right? Like the government is involved in like the most needed people is where this group comes pulled from. So a place to live might be like a row home of, shacks with tarps over them, but they do have a home base, like a place to sleep.
and AJ only chooses mothers that are able to work. So the center is their daycare. These mothers cannot work if she has twins and a 6-year-old boy. She can't work. So that's the first step. You have a safe place that you can leave your children and you can go get a job, go find a job, like start somewhere. And then as they get to know the families, what skills do you have? This mother, she can really cook. Like, let's get her, and they come up with income generating activities. So they give them, ideas. Sometimes they are just literally thinking, how am I going to feed my family tonight? They're not thinking about next year. They're not thinking about even next month. They're thinking about, how do I feed my children tonight? How do I feed them tomorrow? So it's expanding their they do give them a stipend to alleviate like the stress. So each month they get a stipend. It's a very small amount, but they are taught how to put away savings. So they help them open up a bank account. They have to put away, I think it's 20% or, teaching them how to save. So they're putting away each month, every single time they get that stipend, they go to the bank and they're taught to budget. You taught financial literacy
Well,
1 year.
Yeah, and my son said that he was in the city a couple days ago and he walked into a bank and all of a sudden he heard, the guy that he was with from the program ran over and was hugging a lady. And it was one of the moms from the previous programs who had a job cleaning at the bank. So, I mean, she had gotten from trying to feed her family the next day to a job where she had to get into the city and she was working, and he said it was the coolest thing. Like she was so excited and she was doing well, and that was somebody that had graduated from it before.
So Carmen, they provide financial training, counseling, medical services, teach them basic literacy, as well as teaching them about Christ. And try to facilitate them finding jobs and
Many, I wouldn't say many, I think it's like 20% of the moms usually in each group are HIV positive. So that's a real thing there. So that means they need the protein powders. That's who's going to get the protein powders first. That's who's going to get the vitamins first. That's, and they're going to make sure that they're, on their meds and, following along with that. So every single family is different. Every story looks different, and that's kind of cool too, because it's very individualized, getting to know the moms over that 3-year cycle.
And they even teach the kids. They give the kids.
Oh, yeah, tutoring. Get them in school.
Yeah, get them in school. The summer camps this year were focused on things like photojournalism, and they were building furniture for the center. So the kids are not just in daycare, they're actually in a training program.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else?
So the green building is a teaching place,
Yes.
a ministry place.
Yeah.
It's not where they live.
No.
So they're not providing housing.
No
Only
housing,
for the girls.
Right.
You said that you must stipend the ministry gives for ladies. It's not coming from the government.
No, it's the ministry. So it's a monthly stipend just to get them on their feet, teach them how to budget.
If you're giving a stipend, everybody in Ethiopia is.
But they tried.
They try.
We had families that came that we had to
Only
turn away.
50. We can only take 50. So that stipend, it isn't, it's just enough to teach them, it alleviates that pressure,
It alleviates starvation.
starvation. It just, and helps them, okay, give them a little hope. And then, the whole budget thing is a huge thing there too. Teaching them how to manage money, how to be a good steward.
So you got 50 families, but that's not really a family. I mean, you got 50 women, and then 16 of them rotate out this year. Is that right?
No, all 50 will stay in the program for 3 years. It's a 3-year program.
Then it's a whole fresh crop.
It's a whole, yeah,
the end
this
of
is
3
the
years.
3rd cycle. They've had 2 other 50 family groups graduate. One of the mothers in the first group is actually the cook at the FEP Center and doing really well. She's another success story.
And there are some men that, are involved in the program, but honestly, that's part of the educational part of that. And that's really part of where my boys have gotten involved in that, is that there's a lot of men that leave women in Ethiopia, they just do. And teaching those boys family values and character traits about that is very important, because most of these women don't have men, their husbands have left or they're gone.
Of the 10-day trip, y'all plan on doing it again next year?
That's to be determined. I always
We
come
all wanna
back.
go back.
Yeah.
I go back tomorrow.
Go back tomorrow.
I come back each time and just kind of have open hands, like, Lord, what's next? And that's kind of where I'm at, my posture right now for me as a team leader. I would love to go back, and I'd love to take this team back.
How many teams do
Four
6.
back to back, right?
Yeah, we had 4 this summer. So we were the first team that came in. And the 3 teams that followed us were mostly, there were a couple board members, there were a couple parents, but most of them were teens that came from Raleigh, North Carolina. So they have a teen board, which is just a program to help teens get involved in missions and learn about missions. And I'm praying about and brainstorming about how to start that here in Greenville and have a Greenville teen board. So hopefully I'll take some teens next summer along with another, adult trip. I hope and I pray.
Something I saw being my first time involved is like, that's a big commitment for these families in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And we got to see, right, like she said, the second day we got there, all these families that stayed with it, because Addis Jemari is helping these mainly moms. And just the excitement at graduation that day, like they did it, and you could just see the hope on these faces. And I just met these ladies and these families.
They're not getting a free handout.
No,
They have to work hard. in
They're
the
working
program.
hard, and they're committed to the 3 years.
That's actually when I was
like-
convinced that this isn't a welfare thing.
Mm-mm.
Because these ladies were graduating knowing that stipend comes to an end right then. And they were excited about the next step. So they actually, if anything happened, it was giving them the feeling that I can do this. Because I can tell you, we saw the new group coming in the next day and they did not have that. They're like desperate for somebody to get them out of the pit they're in. So different between those 2 groups.
There is such little opportunity in Ethiopia, especially for the poorest. There are essentially 2 classes. It's the poor and the wealthy. And there's not much middle class there. Very little. So when I say no opportunity, this is, like David said, this is their opportunity. This is their one chance to provide for their families and to hopefully stay in whatever counts as a home and have an opportunity to grow and raise this family. We met parents who've lost kids because more than likely from poverty. There is no opportunity. Most of them don't have a chance to even go to school, just middle and high school. So this program is doing some beautiful work.
God's doing a beautiful work.
Yeah, he is.
It's amazing.
We're way over on our.
We are. Thank you guys very
Thanks.
much.
Okay, we have 3 new hires today. So Michael Main for Newton. Hey, Michael. So excited to have you here. You're from Statesman. Adrian Galvin for Houston. And Perry Brombolo from Cartersville for Cartersville. So we're excited to have them this morning, and we'll start that new hire orientation as soon as we leave here. Do we have anything else to start the week with?
Got some interns, this is the last week, so it's Bo Davis. Yeah. Okay. Are you leaving us this week? Sure. Bad experience, good experience? Great experience. Tim Cook's okay? Sure. Tim Cook's okay?
All right. Let's have a good week. Let's go.